Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We begin with a deep breath. Tonight, our service will start on page 130 and 131 with Lechun Ranana and Shir Ladonai, the fitting text for this special Shabbat of Song. Come, let us sing joyously to Adonai a new song. Lechu, lechu, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, l'Adonai. Lechu, lechu, lechu neranena, nariat, tetzu tisheinu. Lechu, 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 lechu neranena, lechu neranena, l'Adonai. Lechu, 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 lechu neranena, nariat, netzu isheinu.
Shabbat Shalom. We turn in our prayer books to page 120. We are So blessed to have so many wonderful musicians with us tonight and hear about this special Shabbat. And we invite the Foxes to illuminate for us the Shabbat candles on this Jewish Music Heritage Shabbat. Page 120, we offer the blessing together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel
Shabbat Shalom. Tonight is one of my most favorite Shabbats of the entire year. Why, you might ask? Well, this Shabbat is designated as Shabbat Shira, meaning Shabbat of Song. And though all our services at Am Shalom are musical, wherever I've prayed in my life, this particular Shabbat seemed to speak to me directly. Tonight, through our Jewish Music Heritage series, an initiative to expose and explore the ever-evolving modes of worship and musical expression within the prayer experience, we honor our hometown luminaries, composers that have dedicated themselves to Jewish synagogue music in the Chicagoland community. You will hear everything from traditional chazanut to folk music, to gospel, to pop, to classical. Our musical scholar in residence is a longtime mentor, friend, and former Chicagoan. I think I can speak for myself and for student cantor Alexandra in saying that throughout his many years as a cantor, whether at Oak Park, at B'nai Abraham Zion, at North Shore Congregation Israel, at Temple Emmanuel in Dallas, Texas, or now as the newly appointed director of the Debbie Friedman School of Sacred Music at Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion, Cantor Richard Cohn has been an important force in enriching our Jewish musical, communal, and spiritual lives. Within your Shabbat Shalom programs, looks like this, you'll find a listing of our special service music, and you could read a little bit about the composers and the wonderful artists that will be helping to lead our service, like Ken Smith on piano, Noah Plotkin, percussion, Melissa Arbiter, violin, Koleinu, our adult choir conducted by Orna Arania, Jeanne Diamond, and a special treat, Cantor Joanna Lind. With that, we now turn to the next part of our service, and I invite to the podium Cantor Richard Cohn.
Thank you. I'm so excited to hear I'm still the new director.
You are.
I was thinking that new thing might have worn off, but it's feeling really good tonight. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm so excited and happy to be here with my wife Marcia in this place, which was for so long our home here on the North Shore, and in particular to be joining this Am Shalom community for the Sabbath of Song. And a great thank you to Cantor Markowicz, to Rabbi Lowenstein, to Rabbi Ham, with whom I also have a connection, and to our student cantor, Alexandra Fox, whom I have the delight of being with so often in New York, to the entire clergy, professional, and lay leadership of this congregation for welcoming me so warmly and including me in this Shabbat celebration. A choir, and I could just go on and on. But I won't, but I will. So we're going to continue welcoming Shabbat with two familiar texts. The first is Shalom Aleichem, in which we herald the arrival of the divine emissaries who inquire each week of our Shabbat observance. and we bid them to arrive and depart in peace, in shalom. We'll sing music by Sholem Caleb, who was vibrantly connected for many years with cantors and congregations throughout Chicago, and whose music and scholarship continue to inform our connection to the world of European Jewish music. In Caleb's composition for Shalom Aleichem, we'll hear old world echoes of familiar melodic ideas in a setting that communicates the joy of transitioning from a careworn week into the freedom of Shabbat. Then, the second text we'll pray is that of Lecha Dodi, the mystical song unifying our souls with Shabbat and with supreme holiness, preparing us fully to enter into the formal evening prayers. The music is by Max Janowski, the renowned Chicago composer of Avinu Malkeinu, Sim Shalom, and so many other iconic compositions. Interestingly enough, this Lecha Dodi shares a melodic heritage with those two famous works. So let's see if you recognize these. Avinu Malkeinu. Yeah, okay, all right, got it. How about Sim Shalom? Okay, great, we've got it. So this starts Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala. It's a friend of those other melodies. And Max Janowski told me one day in his office at KAM Isaiah Israel that this motif derives from the Torah chant. It's an upside-down version of the trope melody, Revi'ah Sim Shalom and Avinu Malkeinu, and here, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala. Yes, it is. And it embeds these melodies deeply within the Jewish tradition, arguably going all the way back to the very song at the sea that gives this Shabbat its special identity. In fact, this kind of melody is so resonant in our tradition that we find it in a Spanish-Portuguese melody for the Psalm of the Sabbath day, Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbat, a song for the Sabbath day. So, more importantly, when we sing Max Janowski's Lecha Dodi, our souls enter more and more deeply into the realm of Shabbat. So, Shalom Aleichem, peace for the ministering angels, peace for each of us, peace for our community and our land.
Page 142.
Shalom
So we continue on page 138 and 139 with Lecha Dodi, singing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9, with the last verse will rise and face the doors to symbolically welcome in the Sabbath bride.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad, Ishmianu il hamyuchad, Adonai echad, Ushemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'li tehila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela.
La
Central to our evening and morning prayers is this recitation of Shema Yisrael, which summons us to listen very carefully for the unifying voice of God in our hearts and in the voices of those who surround us. Longtime New Trier High School physics and chemistry instructor Bob Applebaum is also a prolific composer and performer of Jewish music. And in his setting of the Shema, each of our individual voices will play an important part. As Cantor Markowicz leads us, we will respond in kind, repeating the English words after her. And student Cantor Fox and I will lead those responses as the choir also sings the Hebrew text. For the leading motif of this music, Bob Applebaum chooses the tekiah sound of the shofar. So on Rosh Hashanah, we have... Wow, you are a shofar. So in this setting, that melody is transformed from its dramatic version to an introspective call, a shofar within. So to prepare, let's, if we choose, close our eyes for just a moment, readying our inner and our outer voices to participate. And as we sing, we embody the unified voice of the children of Israel in every generation, from the time of the great sea crossing and its song of spiritual deliverance.
Continue on page 154, chanting Ve'ahavta. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levacha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meotecha ve'hayu hadarim ha'ele asher Anochi metzavecha 158. Shabbat Shira, the Shabbat of Song, so called because in this week's Torah portion, Beshalach, the Israelites sing a song to God while dancing through the parted waters, marching forward on their journey to freedom. They have physically left Egypt, in Hebrew, Mitzrayim, literally translated as a narrow place. They use music and movement to help them break free of the confines from whence they came. Our next two Chicagoland composers both began their careers as performers. Susan Lewis Friedman, a Broadway star and now the cantor of Beth Emmet in Evanston, wrote a heartfelt Hashkivenu, which we first heard here in December for our Women's Torah Dedication Shabbat service. Again, on page 158, tonight's Michamocha is composed by Andy Dennett, a local musician and Jewish song leader who has, through composition, followed in the footsteps of Debbie Friedman and Jeff Klepper, working to bridge Jewish spirituality with popular music of the present day.
At this time in our service, we continue with the words of the Tefillah. This is our opportunity to enter into God's presence and to really deepen our connection with God. But we are told that before we can begin that process, we must offer words of praise. And so we do that on page 164 as we rise together.
Adonai sifatai tifta ufia kimtehilatecha. Adonai sifatai tifta ufia kimtehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu. Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'imahot, U'mevii Geula livnei b'neihem, Le'man shemo ve'ahava, Melech ozer u'moshiach u'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh ha'kol atara le'hoshia, Mashiv ha'ruach u'morid ha'gam.
Please be seated as we turn to page 177. We read together. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, ulecha na'eh lehodot.
The first time I heard Shalom Rav was when I was a young girl, around 8 or 9 years old. It was one of the staples of my musical prayer experience as I was growing up. Little did I know then that it was written by a cantor and composer extraordinaire, Jeff Klepper, who hails from Chicago, having served as the cantor at Beth Emmet, the Free Synagogue in Evanston, for nearly 20 years. Cantor Klepper's compositions were certainly not his only contribution to the Jewish music world. Along with Debbie Friedman, of blessed memory, he began Shira, a yearly gathering of cantors and Jewish song leaders. Shira is the birthplace of so many of the great tunes that vibrate through our synagogues and camps around the country, and has become such an important part of my growth as a cantor. Sometimes prayer is more than just the words on a page. It's the story, the connections, and emotion between the lines that make it prayerful. So, join us on page 178 in helping to bring the Shalom Rav that we all know and love to life. Shalom Rav.
We take just a moment now to listen to the prayers of our own heart. And while we do, I hope that you'll consider the many, many generations of musicians, cantors, soloists, composers that are swirling around us. After silent meditation, we're going to listen to a piece entitled Le Dor Vador by one of the most famous cantors in the world,
Chazan Joshua Lind, a very great in the Chicagoland musical tradition. Someone who's had his hand in so many different aspects of Chicagoland music and certainly, as I said, music of the world. We're lucky tonight to be joined by his great-granddaughter, who is also a cantor, and she'll be sharing that piece with us as we hear those generations. A moment of silence.
At this time, we think of those in our midst and those who we hold close to our hearts who are in need of prayers of healing. As our people have done for generations, we turn to God, who is the source of all blessing, and ask that God will bless them with strength and with courage. Whether they suffer physically or mentally, spiritually or emotionally, we hope that God will be with them. We also pray that God will be with the ones who love them, the ones who care for them, and who walk the path with them. We pray that ultimately, though, they will be blessed with peace and that they will find comfort. If there are any names that you would like to add to our prayers of healing tonight, I ask that you do so as we go around the sanctuary. On page we continue on page 371 with the Misha Vera. Baruch atah Adonai Ropeh HaCholim. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings healing to the world.
As director of the Debbie Friedman School of Sacred Music of the Hebrew Union College and Jewish Institute of Religion, I'm privileged to serve a community devoted to the expression of Jewish song in all its varieties. The 36 cantorial students in New York and Jerusalem who are studying in our program each lend a unique voice to the enterprise of music and prayer, while also seeking to unite the congregations of our movement through a shared sense of connection, through singing to our identity as Reform and Progressive Jews. The genesis of our musical mission resides in this week's Torah portion. As Moses and Miriam lead the community of Israel, B'nai Yisrael, the children of Israel, in song and in dance. The song at the sea begins this way.
Az yashir Moshe u'bnei Yisrael et hashira hazot l'Adonai vayomeru lemor. Then sang Moses and the children of Israel the song, this one to God. They sang to say, Hashira l'Adonai ki ga'o ga'at sus v'rochavo ramavayam. I will sing to Adonai, for God has triumphed. Horse and rider God cast into the sea. O ziv zimratia vayhi lishua. My strength and song are Yah. God has become my deliverance. O ziv zimrat Yah Vayihi li Yeshua. My strength and song are God, who has become my deliverance. This is a very interesting Hebrew text. It begins, Az Yashir Moshe, and the commentators say that it can be read either in the past tense or in the future tense. So you can say, Az Yashir Moshe, then at that time sang Moses, or you can say, Az Yashir Moshe, then will Moses sing along with the children of Israel this song to God, and so forth. So the entire song can either be experienced as retrospective or prospective. And I think it's good to hold it in both ways. That is to say, the song that was sung and the song that will be sung. Another way to translate Ozi v'zimrat Yah, which is kind of a complicated Hebrew expression, would be something like this. Ozi, my strength, v'zimrat Yah, and God's song, Vayhili, are transformed for me, Lishu'ah, into deliverance. My strength, that which is within me, and God's song, that which I sing, come together to make it possible to transform myself into a state of Yeshuah, of spiritual deliverance. And that word, Vayihili, that causes the change to happen, Vayihi, has the same letters, the same 4 letters as the name of God, the 4-letter name of God, just in a different combination. So when we sing, we're actually taking the sounds of God's holy name and transforming them through breath into sound, into song. So when we fully invest our song with ourselves, with our hearts, with our voice, and with this sense of deliverance, we actually bring about that Yeshuah, a kind of spiritual triumph, a complete liberation of the soul. The very liberation about which we sing on Saturday nights during Havdalah, Yeshuah, souls transformed by our experience of this Sabbath day. So that's our musical mission, to connect so deeply through song that we too stand unfettered at the shore of the sea. And in so doing, we become living letters of Torah, the forms of the letters translated to song, transmitted to souls, embodying God's voice in our own. This is the basis of Jewish music, first formulated in the chanting of Torah itself, then transmigrated through singing all the other books in the Tanakh, the prophets, the Psalms, the Megillot, and eventually taking new shape in the sound of tefillah, the voice of the congregation and the voice of the cantor in prayer, carried through the centuries to this very time and this place. Every tone, every note, every sound, every syllable sung tonight in a continuous connection to the original song, this song from the book of Exodus. So whenever we're singing, we are echoing the vibrations of the Torah, and we give those vibrations new life. In the book of Proverbs, we hear very familiar words. Eitz chayim hi lamachazikim ba. It is a tree of life for those who grasp it, Torah. And those who draw near it are fortunate. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace. The essence of Torah is that which is contained in our singing. And the precepts of that Torah, which we turn into song, guide our lives and our relationships. Tomorrow morning in our Torah study, we'll take a closer look at Shirat Hayam, the song at the sea, and understand even better how the notes, how the tones, how the turnings of the sounds of the song of the sea become the basis for all this prayer, for all this study, for all this spiritual growth, for all this development, for all this community, for all this soulness. And so now, 2 selections of music. First, Max Janowski's exquisite setting of Eitz Chayim, Tree of Life, Living Tree, graced tonight by the presence of Jeanne Diamond as our soloist, followed by a setting of the priestly benediction, which Rabbi Lowenstein and I will share
as a blessing for the entire community. The music, which I created last year for the ordination of rabbinical and cantorial students on the day that they completed their studies, and the president of the College Institute placed his hands upon them and transmitted the chain of tradition into their souls. So the blessing that we'll sing, that Rabbi Lowenstein will lead after we sing Eitz Chaim, blessing actually from Torah, is the one with which we always bless B'nai Yisrael, the children of Israel who sang the song and who will sing the song of the sea again and again. And that blessing we offer to each person here, so that our hearts and souls may continue to be lifted up by God's presence through Torah, Eitz Chaim, a tree of life, in song.
Ki lekach tov natati lachem Torati al tazov Torati al tazov
May God bless you and keep the melodies of our lives singing in our hearts and in our souls.
Adonai,
May God's face shine upon all of us and continue to fill our world with brightness, with joy, and with laughter. Every one of us be blessed with God's most precious gift, the gift of wholeness, the gift of completeness, the gift of peace. What a treat it is to be able to celebrate this Shabbat of music, this Shabbat of Song with this amazing, amazing group of individuals and these beautiful voices. I have to admit, though, Cantor Markowicz came to me and said she wanted to do a Shabbat, Jewish Music Heritage Shabbat, the music of Chicago, and I kept thinking to myself, beautiful. Please turn to page 25624. Color my world. Does anyone really know what time it is? You know, I know nothing about music. But I had no idea that we would be treated to such amazing, amazing composers, amazing voices, amazing spiritual elevation. This Torah portion is the central part of our Torah portion, the essential part of our Torah. But actually, in this week's Torah portion, the text never says that the sea split. It never said that God split the sea. It's actually just a given. It's a spiritual moment, spiritual enlightenment that we all felt tonight. That we felt that we were on a whole different level. Cantor Richard Cohn, it is truly an honor to see how you have blossomed at the Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion. To know that you've been part of the Chicago community for so long, and now you're able to come back, but you're able to inspire 36 and so many more young minds to follow their passion. You couldn't be in a better place, and we are grateful that the College Institute, that you are leading the Debbie Friedman School of Sacred Music. So we thank you, and we look forward to Torah study tomorrow. Student Cantor Alexandra Fox, what a pleasure it is to have you with us this year, and yes, even next year. To know that you'll be able to continue your musical development here at our congregation. Jeanne Diamond, as always, you inspire us, and you teach us. You are that living Eitz Chaim. You are that living tree that continues to grow and will continue in so many unique and wonderful ways. And all of Koleinu and Joanna Lind, it's an honor to have you here and to know that in the 22 years that I've done weddings and funerals here in Chicago, hundreds of times people have said to me they were married by the Lind brothers or Cantor Lind, and the impact that your family has had on so many singers and so much music here in Chicago. To have you and your family here in our presence and your beautiful daughter Mabel, it's really an honor. But all of this would not be possible without people like Ken and Noah and Melissa and Orna, but most of all, our own Cantor Markowicz. Cantor Markowicz, thank you very much for sharing your idea of Jewish Music Heritage Shabbat, and to make sure that we would all understand how much more music there is than Chicago. Baby, what a big surprise. Because that's what I thought tonight was all about. But honestly, your gifts and your passion for all types of music is a treat, is a gift for our congregation, and we can't thank you enough. Of course, I have a gift for our guests, but I forgot it in my office. But they'll get it, and it's a perfect fit for tonight. And now, we turn our thoughts to those who have departed this earth. The beautiful words of Chaim Nachman Bialik, Israel's greatest poet. V'haya ish v'einenu od. There was a man, and behold, he is no more. His melody is lost forever. Truth be told, the melody of our loved ones continues on. It continues on in so many unique and wonderful ways by the way that we make the promise to remember. And whether we're here to remember someone who died very recently or an anniversary of a death from sometime long ago, our loved ones continue. In the largest cemetery in Berlin is a very simple gravestone attributed to Louis Lewandowski, one of the great Jewish composers. And on that tombstone it simply says, in German, "Love makes the melody eternal." And so we turn to those people that we love, and we make the promise to never forget. We observe Shloshim for the following individuals. When you hear your loved one's name, we ask that you please rise. We remember Jack Goldberg, father of Betsy Rosenstein, a wonderful man, a father and grandfather who was buried earlier this month in Louisville, Kentucky. We remember Davy Netchin, Alice Brown, Howard Bud Kerman, Arnold Wolf, Stacy Dancona Levy, Harold Klein, Margaret Kaminsky. We remember L.D. Gross Jr., father of Jimmy, a wonderful father and grandfather who always made people laugh, who was always fun to be with, who was buried this week in Canton, Ohio. May his memory be a blessing. We remember Alan Klein, father of Mitchell Klein, a wonderful father and grandfather and great-grandfather, a man who served our country with the greatest distinction as a veteran of World War II, a man who made this world better by the way he lived. And with profound sorrow, we remember Jack Leonard Brill, father of Randy, grandfather of Ellie and Mia, whose funeral will take place on Sunday in Pittsburgh. A great man, a jeweler, but his greatest gems were his family, his children and grandchildren, and all those who will always remember the way he lived, the way he loved, and the way he laughed. As well, we remember those whose yahrzeits occur at this time and at this season. Again, please rise when you hear your loved one's name. Vera Baker, Marcia Bartenez, Marilyn Levenhart Black, Arthur Block, Eloise Block, George J. Brown, Irma Bruckheimer, Delbert Buntman, Shelley Buntman, Jason Hirsch Cherner, Nathan Cobb, Beatrice Cohn, Bill Edelstein, Herbert Eidelman, Carl Engel, David Estes, Jack Fader, Minna Feldstein, Irene Fisher, Barry Fivelson, Sheila Garvey, Gussie Glassman, Bernita Goldberg, Miriam Goldman, Charles R. Goldstein, Lynn Gordon, Alvin Holzer, Susan Jacobs, Pearl Kaplan, Bertha Kiven, Miriam Kiven, Ida Claff, Maynard Klein, Eleanor Konigsberg, Eddie Kotler, Maurice Landsman, Stuart Levitt, Francis Lederer, Shirley Marks, Ralph Mayer, Marcia Davidson McClure, Abraham Lewis Meltzer, Steve Mendelson, Stella Nattenberg, Julian Newman, Barbara Newman, Willa Francis Billy Nicholson, Grant D. Pick, Julius Polikoff, Maria Hernandez de Polo, Ralph Rand, Gail Reitman, Louise Roberts, Arnold Philip Rosenberg, Florane Rosenstone, Meyer Rosenthal, Marilyn Rudin, Don Ruffalo, Marilyn Sapol, Harry O. Schloss Jr., Betty Schulman, Alex Schultz, Sidney Schiffman, Elaine Solomon, Adele Stone, Marvin Stone, Bernard Superfine, James M. Thomas, Dr. Aaron Weston, Arnold Willis. We remember the victims of violence killed in Cook and Lake counties this past week, and we offer these names together. Carlos Spitz, Willie Woodis, Clavant Eubanks, Giovanni Mexicano, Priscilla Glorias Reyes, Alvin Stoll, Walter Long Jr., Annette Harris. Along with all those names mentioned, all those that we hold close to our hearts, if you have the name of anyone that you'd like to mention, I ask that you call out those names. Joining with those who mourn, we rise together as one congregation, page 598, to offer the Kaddish prayer. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlif mafutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayed kol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mavarach le'olam omei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yit'oman v'yitnaseh, V'yit hadar, v'yit haleh, v'yit halal, shnei dekucha b'richu, la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Useh shalom b'mromah, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort all who are bereaved among us, and let us say together, Amen. We make the blessing over the wine. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei b'riach hafen. And the blessing over the bread. Jody, come and join us. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Motzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Surrounded by this much musical talent, I'm getting off the bima as fast as I can.
Oh, no, your solo's coming up. Back in the day, Hans Worman was a brilliant influence on the musical life of the Jewish South Side, later serving as organist for Oak Park Temple B'nai Abraham Zion during my time there. He was the composer of innumerable pieces for the synagogue, and Hans was a genial and unassuming figure. Of his Ein Keloheinu, with which we'll conclude tonight's service, he always commented that everyone experienced it as so familiar that it must be a traditional melody. Other composers even borrowed it as if it were. Still, the truth is, Hans Worman composed this Ein Keloheinu, and we'll sing it together tonight. You basically just have to know.
That's it.
What page is that?
Page 626. Join us.